What's up, friends and family? So this is a really fun episode. If you're on Patreon, like these super cool people who are really helping keep the channel alive, then you'll already know that I got to sit down with Lucas and Nate from the Retic Lounge. This was a really fun conversation, and I'm not going to beat around the bush introducing it. I'm just going to jump into it. Hope you enjoy it. Have fun.
So, welcome. Today, I have with us Lucas Bagnara. Am I saying that right? Bagnara?
Bagnera.
Bagnara. I'm sorry.
If you want to get Italian with it, you can say bagnata.
I'll let you say that. And Nathan Katz, both breeders of reticulated pythons, particularly in the dwarf realm, in the super dwarf realm. They host a weekly podcast on YouTube, the Retic Lounge. So they can be found every Friday on YouTube, and if you're a member of their Patreon, every Wednesday. So I'm very happy to have them on the channel today to discuss the ever-growing world of reptile-related podcasts. So welcome, gentlemen. Lucas, Nate, how are you guys?
Doing great, man.
It's doing good. Appreciate you for having us on.
Oh, I'm excited to have you guys on. I'm a fan of the channel, and it's I like the content, so I think it's off to a great start, and excited to see where it goes. But let me start right off the bat and just get it out of the way. How has fame changed you, Nate?
I mean, I would like to see some first. I mean, I ran from cutting some fucking hair before hopping onto this. I was literally right up in there. So, when that fame hits, I'll let you know.
Did you go high and tight, or was it like a Canadian waterfall?
Oh,
what
no,
were you working with?
No Canadian waterfalls today. Just a nice tight, high and tight. Yep.
What about you, Lucas? What's new since you started the channel? How is you get recognized out in the streets?
Yeah, just a couple dozen autographs
Mostly
a week.
In the sheets.
Yeah, mostly in the sheets. No, I mean obviously there's absolutely zero fame that comes along with this, but it's nice just to me and Nathan are both breeders. I feel like it's nice just to have our name out there, get our name out there, and I to be honest, I think both of us are very shocked at how well the Patreon has done. And so that alone right there has been an awesome experience. So Discord is our fame in our game. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, that's really cool. And one thing, like I said, I watch the podcast a lot, and something that you guys say regularly is that you're not experts. And so I ask myself, why am I watching a Retic podcast with two guys who aren't even experts?
I think that's a perfect question. I mean, we're not experts, but we're able to offer experience, and that's ultimately what our podcast is about, is not being an expert, but sharing our experiences along dealing with some of these bigger animals. So I think it's beneficial in that way.
I tried finding an expert in my co-host, and Nathan said he was an expert at first, and then he
bullshit.
But no, I mean, do you know any experts in the Retic community? Because I know some self-proclaimed experts, right? But I think everyone can learn to grow, right?
Absolutely, and I think that's maybe that's the charm, is that you guys don't proclaim to be experts, and standing out amongst a bunch of know-it-alls. I don't know.
I still have that imposter syndrome where after we get off an episode, or I'll go to my snake room and I'll be like, what am I doing? My Retic will do something for the first time. I'm like, I don't know what the hell to do right now. So it's just all a matter of growing and learning, and the animals teach you the most. So everything that I know is from help from other people, and we're just trying to give back in that way.
Well, and that's brilliant, isn't it? Because that's how we all got started, in one form or another, is just talking to people and asking questions. And personally, when I started this channel, I wanted to just kind of share like the online teaching thing that I was doing during the pandemic to little kids. I was like, why don't we have something like this for adults? And I hope to gather people around that knew more than me and share that info. And I really like the way you guys have taken that for the Retic space as well. I think it's spot on. And then Lucas, is your room, do you color your room like that just because blue is your favorite color, or is that always on the is that for the podcast?
No, so I do this anytime that I'm doing like a recording, sometimes on like the like Patreon Q&As. I don't do it just because I'm lazy, but this is my guest bedroom downstairs. It's the only place in my house that I have to record. So if I don't have cool lights behind me,
Mm.
it would be the lamest backdrop setting because my sister, see, Nathan joined me. Now he's cool too. If this was just normal, it would look bare, it would look dumb. My sister-in-law comes like every couple weeks, and so no, my favorite color is green, but every time I put green behind me, I feel like my whole body looks green, and I don't want to look like a skinny fat version of the Incredible Hulk on camera. So
Nate, what I thought you were raising your hand, but it looks like you were just adjusting something over there.
present.
Oh, I know why, because Nathan is on mute. Let me ask Nathan to unmute himself. There we go. I should have had shots prepared for this. Hey, good. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't notice that. I told you at the beginning of this episode that I would notice it, and
I didn't want to like interrupt you guys while yelling at Alexa, so I figured mute myself.
And you forgot, so
no, it's all good. I have to stay quick with it. It's mainly because I don't want Adler and anyone else joining in and arguing over it, which obviously they would do if I let them off mute. You guys, your last episode was on Business 101, right? Am I saying that right? I guess because that was still Friday.
Yep.
So I'll start with you, Nate. How old were you when you made your first $1 million?
Yeah, still hasn't happened.
Yeah, no, still waiting on it.
I want to meet anyone in the snake industry that's cleared their first $1 million in profit, like pure profit.
Like profit, yeah, not total sales. Yeah, that'd be nice.
Fair enough. So what you're saying is that this is more of a hobby and probably not a get rich quick scheme.
100% passion. Yeah, I would do this if I didn't make $1 off the animals.
Yeah. Would you? Would you still breed them?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What is it?
That's my.
What drew you to it? Yeah. What drew you to
it? So I mean, I've always just been drawn to reptiles. I had a great little reptile shop up the street from me growing up, so I got to see stuff hatching out. I got to see other people doing it, and then when I got into my ball pythons and saw videos of clutches happening, I just knew deep down that I needed to do the same. And when I had my first egg hatch, it was a feeling that I can't replicate. So I would do it for the high of seeing the snakes pop out of the egg any day.
Yeah, right on. I know I actually enjoyed the episode, and I thought the information you had on there about tax write-offs and being a sole proprietor was really useful, because that's a lot of stuff that and I'll put a link in your guys' channel in the description when I post this too. But I think that's a must-watch video for anyone who's got questions about the fiscal impact that this has on ourselves, because it's expensive. It's an expensive hobby, and if you aren't careful, you can really get in over it. But the advice you guys were given was good, because it shows ways that we can help take a little bit edge off, especially when it comes to income tax filing time, which is, I thought, really cool. Lucas, the episode before that was titled Size Matters, and it really seemed like it was about 58 minutes of you two just giggling and crying together. So can you explain that more? What are we talking about?
Crying like laughing, or crying like emotionally, or just like being annoying? And because I go on my rant and it might sound like I cry, but it was a really funny episode.
There was a lot of tears from laughing.
Yeah, no, I literally, that was probably one of the more fun episodes. And like, we talked about size matters as being clickbaity, right? And so in the back of our mind, we're thinking about like, oh, haha, size. But as we started recording it, kind of this like serious
Nate
side
couldn't
comes
stop
on.
being a child.
No, for me, it's like, Nate couldn't stop being a child. For me, I'm trying to actually put the info out there, and I'm not even like, I can genuinely say I love making those kind of jokes. Like, That's What She Said jokes are like, The Office is one of my favorite shows. And so I'm normally on top of that stuff, but I just start talking and Nate is just one line after one line. And I cracked up a good amount on that episode. It was really good.
No, it was funny. The accidental comments were even better than the intentional puns. So
Right.
Yeah, that was the thing is I was being a child because Lucas just goes on these train of thought rants, and that's just not how my mind works, but he just talks faster than he processes what he's actually
All the
saying.
time.
And when we're talking about length and size, it was just like, man, he's just
I'm just speedboating right over them.
just
And
a mine right now.
it was a great episode.
Listen, I'm almost 40, and I don't think there's ever been a moment in my life where I haven't just thoroughly enjoyed a good dick joke or a poop joke. If we're going there too, it's a different subject, but I know we're all on Reach Out Reptiles. Chad is posting your onlyfans.com/long pythons.
Long pythons. Yeah.
Good. Anyways, whatever I was saying before that. Thanks, Chad. We're a lot on the Reach Out Reptiles page, and I see one of my favorite things to ever happen is when a snake poops on Thomas in a live stream. So
right.
I'll put dick jokes right there in it, and if it's peens or whatever we got, all right, I'm into it. Again, maybe that's something I should have thought about before I said. Let me ask you this, Nate. Who's an influencer or social media or someone that got you interested in podcasting? And then follow up with you, Lucas.
Tom Segura.
Yes.
Okay. So not in the reptile space at all?
No. Yeah, I listen to maybe one or two reptile podcasts here and there, but it's 98% comedy podcasts.
Yeah.
I feel like Nathan wanted to be the funny kid growing up, and so he just always listened to Comcast comedy growing up.
I would love to eventually have the balls to get on stage and do a set, but I don't
Nathan's
think
funny.
that's happening anytime soon.
I'd watch that.
You should do it. Listen, as someone who's done it, I've done it. I've done a few open mics in the past, and I've had my share of explosively bad, iconic freezes on stage where I don't get anything out whatsoever, and go home and want to kill myself. And others that are really good, but either way, do it. You got to get out there and do it, and getting on stage and you get that rush. There's nothing like being on stage. It's a little bit like being on camera, but being on stage is like times 5, not times 10.
Oh yeah.
5.
Me and Nathan are still learning off of each other, being co-hosts and co-hosts, and I feel like our rapport with each other is getting better on camera the more that we do this. But you got to see when me and Nathan are just talking before we record or after, the guy is like quick to punchlines. He's witty. Like what's great about, like, Nathan just understands comedy. There's not a lot of people that understand true comedy, and Nathan's one of those. So yeah, it's cool to work with.
Oh, it's beautiful. I love it. I've always thought that comedy was kind of the key to unlocking everything when it comes to entertainment. If there's not a shred of funny it just doesn't seem real, because that's real life, right? Like, we were laughing at the Size Matters episode because, frankly, it's just funny because I know we're talking about dwarf retics and mainland retics, but the reality is that we associate it with real life, and that's just it. I've always had bosses or people, someone around that makes people laugh, and I don't know. That's a bit of a rant. I think it's kind of the
think of your favorite teacher. I guarantee you they made you laugh.
Yeah. That's like the key to the soul, right?
I had favorite teachers,
laughter.
but not only because they made me laugh.
But they did.
Well, no, but that's just a tool in a teacher's bag, though. If you don't have comedy, I don't think you can be an effective educator.
I was referring to they were hot, but yeah.
Oh.
Anyway. See, my delivery, it's not that great. I can work on it.
No, it's good. You got me. And Adler brings up a good point, and I think maybe this was holding you back too, Nate, is that the best comedians have really effed up lives and situations. So if maybe there's a traumatic history that you need to unpack or something like that, it might be good for you. But otherwise,
I mean, the last 4 months have been all right. So yeah, we could use
I'm a
those.
trauma therapist. I got you, Nate.
No therapy. Lucas, you weren't listening. That doesn't help. We need him to not be in therapy to be funny.
Oh, that's true. We just need
Yeah.
you to spiral
The
to a deep
stage,
depression.
the
Spiral.
stage in my pen needs to be my therapy, Lucas. That's what
Right.
everyone's saying, apparently.
Okay.
Well, I'll get to writing if I ever hop on stage. I'll let you guys know.
Yes, please. And something that came out just a minute ago. So it really seems like the mute button has been a nemesis of both of you guys on the podcast. And Nathan, you're on mute, right? Should that be a drinking game or bingo? Because I don't know.
It's Lucas this year.
I was gonna say
It's only been 3 times, buddy.
we could
Okay,
add a
that's
square
not
for
a lot
Lucas.
yet.
I have 0 this year, so I mean I'm planning on keeping that up. Everyone, get your bingo boards ready. I mean, you can put me on there, but I wouldn't count on it.
If you made it a drinking game, you'd probably drunk by the end of some episodes. Adler just recommended doing a dab hit. If you did that, you'd definitely be hallucinating by the end of the episode.
It's legal in like 12 states.
Right. And Chad is saying strip poker, like us strip on camera if we get muted, like take off an article of clothing.
Chad,
that's only for the OnlyFans.
Yeah, that's right. You got to go to Long Pythons for that.
Long Pythons.
Yeah.
Oh boy. So let me ask you this: who between the two of you, who name drops the most?
Like other people?
Yeah. No, between you
in
Lucas
the reptile industry or just in general?
Yeah, Reptile on your podcast. Who's always talking about other people?
Honestly, I feel like I'm gonna say me, but also because I will sometimes say things in like a way of like talking about how other people have said things that were not that were a misrepresentation of things, but then I'll also name drop some. I don't know. I feel like Nate's pretty good. Like Nate talks about his mentor often, but never name drops. I'm over here and I'll drop a name, and then I'm like, man, should I have name dropped during that situation?
The comments are pretty much saying that it's Lucas. So
and I was just thinking, like, I do name drop from time to time. Like I've let some names slip, but it's always when I'm talking about someone in a positive light. I'll never bring someone up if I don't care for what they're doing, or it just that kind of thing. But there was a moment in one of our last episodes that I'm like, Lucas definitely named.
No, on the Size Matters episode, we were talking about big snakes, and so see, I got it that time. My brain wasn't going too fast.
It was the giggle after that got me.
So, but yeah, I name dropped someone who's just not necessarily a positive person in the industry, and we went back, and me and Nathan had a discussion where I didn't agree at first, but we ended up going with his route. And if you go back and watch it, I'm talking about Jampea locality, I think, and you can see where I just lowered the decibel level and just muted myself when I said the company and the name. So I don't know if anyone caught that, but yeah, so we'll talk about things like that. And so we definitely don't want to give anybody who's negative in the community any light.
Mm-hmm. What sort of things are negative in the community? And no people, but like, what do you mean?
Misrepresentation, lying. I've said this a million times, but the people out there saying that their 12.5% calato will stay smaller than other people's pures. Right. Things like that. Right. So
poor husbandry, like not just like you hate on their enclosure or something, but verifiable, like just really bad stuff happening on the back end of their stuff.
Quote unquote puppy mills.
Just people being like, just anyone who is bringing others down in the community. That's not the kind of.
It's not what we're building.
Yeah, that's not the kind of people that we want to be around.
I get that, and now this is a good one. So Adler brought up one of the things he says is overproducing and causing a market to drop, and I get what you're saying, Adler. What do you guys? What's your take on that? Do you think that there's an issue with if someone's manipulating a market like that? Do you think that's a real problem? What's your take on that?
I think
So-
it's a double-edged sword.
It is. So as a consumer and just as someone who loves these animals, do I want these animals to be as affordable as possible for people to be able to love and enjoy them? Absolutely. But I still don't think that everybody should be a Retic owner, even if we're talking about Superdwarfs, because it's not just about size. They're a whole animal that thinks differently, that if you have one negative interaction, it'll remember it, feeding response, right? We've talked about this. Everyone
sure.
knows what we're talking about that in regards to retics. And if you don't, subscribe to the Retic Lounge. But I will say this, that from a purely business financial standpoint, right? Because I'm just like Nathan. If I didn't make a penny off of these animals, I'd be okay. I love my, I have a job that pays for my animals if I needed to. When you get to see a snake hatch in your hands for the first time, it's unreal. It's an amazing experience. But we're in a recession right now, right? Our country's in a recession. And what we're seeing is people are not being smart, and they are still producing the same amount of animals that people were buying during COVID, when the government was like, here's $3,600,
yeah,
right? And everyone's like, retic, right? And the economy was doing great because everyone had money, or at least it appeared like it was doing great. And so now people during a recession aren't planning and adapting accordingly, and people are listing very high valued animals for half the price that they were going for a year and a half, because they're in a situation where if you make selling snakes your only income, your livelihood relies on selling snakes. And when that becomes an issue, it's either I starve, I don't feed my family, or I drop the price for people to buy these animals. And that hurts all the small people who 2 years ago bought a 50% Superdwarf for $2,500. And before they can even have their first clutch, the first clutch they produce of 50%ers is now going to be worth like $700. So it's kind of one of those things where we're going through a recession. The retic market's going to drop. Someone wise said that the retic market tends to do well once the economy gets going, it takes off again. And so we might just be on a downfall. And this is going to test a lot of grit from new breeders to see if they stick it through or if they sell out.
Yeah, I think people are going to have cash on hand if they're going to want to buy a snake. I mean, I think it's a pet, but I think it falls pretty squarely into that luxury goods sort of spending category, right?
Yeah, no one needs a snake. I don't need snakes. Like I love them, but like no one needs a pet snake.
All right, you heard it here, folks. The Retic Lounge, that's their new slogan. No one needs a pet snake.
No one needs a pet snake. Subscribe to the Retic Lounge, where we will convince you not to buy retics.
Well, that's a perfect segue into my next question, which is that, what is the biggest reason why you regret choosing reticulated pythons to keep and talk about, Lucas?
Me?
Yeah.
Me first? Okay.
Yeah, throw out a regret for me.
Size. I mean, even the Superdwarf stuff, we're talking about animals that can still get a substantial size. And you got to think about longevity of how long you want to be in this. If you get an injury or you have back surgery like Nathan, retics are an animal that you can only have so many before you're limited. And then how long can you do this before your back takes too much of a toll? Or, I have 4 cages stacked that I have 2 7-footers and then 2 6-footers stacked on top that are only holding 4 snakes. If I decide to go with green tree pythons, I could fit 12 of those in that same space. And the largest size prey item I would need is an adult large mouse, not a 2-pound pig or rabbit. So size is just one thing that you do have to consider. Some people love that and will say that, but I think if we're all being honest, the size sometimes can beat us and get the best of us. A stubborn 12-foot, 13-foot retic that's 60 pounds and does not want to come out of their enclosure, guess what? If you don't have a second person, the snake's not coming out of their enclosure.
He's not coming out. No, I used to work in an educational facility, and we had pretty much exactly that. He was 12 feet, 14 feet, and probably around 35 pounds. And it's like, oh, his name is Tiger because Tiger stripe morph. Very original. But Tiger was if he was off, he was off. It's like, all right, he's off work today, man. He's not coming to the show. Let's take the big lazy Burmese python that weighs twice as much but doesn't move.
Right.
What about you, Nate?
Let's see. My biggest regret just having them.
Sure, we're talking about them.
Or talking about them. I'd say just the financial burden of them.
Mm-hmm.
They eat a lot. They take a lot of care as far as just substrate goes, even when you're keeping on paper like I am. You're talking about farm animals like Lucas is talking about. I don't know how many people are buying rabbits or how bad the rabbit market's been in the last year for other people, but I've gone from getting rabbits from, $2-3 a pound to people trying to charge all the way up to $20 a pound.
Oh, gee.
Right.
So I would say, yeah, I would have a little bit thicker wallet if I didn't have all my animals.
Right.
Well, and that's good. So we'll move a little bit past that too, and go back to a question that Christian asked earlier. And he said, given that everyone, right, can improve and isn't perfect, what changes would you guys like to see to retic husbandry across the board? And if you want to speak to it, to the hobby in general, and we'll stay with you on Nate.
Just as big of cages as you can possibly provide for your animals. As much enrichment and climbing as you can provide for your animals. I think that's huge. These are supposed to be toned, really healthy animals, and too far often we're seeing these animals just get fat and lazy. So just general husbandry stuff like that, more naturalistic stuff, UVA, UVB, just providing everything your animal could possibly want.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say, Lucas?
I think we should go back to the 90s and keep them in 3-foot cages and just make it easy. Make it easier for us.
That is a fresh take these days, Lucas, and
no,
I appreciate your honesty.
So that's not really what I think, clearly. But yeah, I want to get away from that mentality of I think so. This is going to encompass a bunch of things, but like if I just had to make a blanket statement on what we can do is stop keeping retics to convenience yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Period. So don't keep them in smaller cages because it's more convenient for the size room you have. Don't provide it UV lighting because it's easier and they can survive without lighting. Don't put hides and shelves and things like that because that's more things you have to clean, right? So the opposite of everything I just said. If I had to say one husbandry thing for Superdwarf and Dwarf retics is include UV spectrum lighting. If I had to choose one husbandry thing for mainlands, I think every mainland breeder needs to get bigger cages.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you guys have seen.
Well, not every mainland breeder. Sure. I just want to make that clear. A lot of you guys out there are keeping them phenomenally. You're making your adjustments little by little. I almost name dropped, but there's a mainland breeder out there who's kind of
he's up the road.
He's kind of changing the industry standard. He was kind of the first person who made a big deal about getting a bunch of 10-foot enclosures, and now you see people all over the place starting to buy 8-10-foot enclosures. But the standard, like 8 years ago, not even 8 years ago, was just we're still vision cages. They were the 6-foot vision cages.
Yeah, and it's that's one of those things too, which if you ever see DM Exotics on YouTube and Dave Kaufman went with DM Exotics, they were looking at retics, and some of these they were finding 10-foot snakes 15, 25, 30 feet up in the trees. Like these are not sedentary fossorial animals by any means. They're active climbers and just so intelligent. I keep a couple of rainbow boas back here and like a rosy boa and a Colombian and it's some basic stuff. I'd had calibras in the past, and when I first got my Superdwarf retic, the intelligence level and the eye contact was the big one. That he looked at me, and I was like, "This is looking at me."
Right. And have you ever held a defensive? Yeah, you ever hold? So like, I have a buddy who comes over, Sean. He helps me in my garage. He's a high schooler. He comes over, and when we're handling some of the hatchling defensive ones, and the other person's like cleaning while the other person holds it. Anytime that they walk by, they'll keep their head on me, but their eye is following the person who's like walking by. Yeah, they're super cool.
It's funny too. I'll talk to my retic more than the other snakes. When I handle the other ones, it's a snake. You know, I'm not baby talking it like I do my dog or cat, right? But with the retic, like if he does, it's like, what are you doing? No, not now. You know, and telling him no, correcting him. Obviously, he lacks the ears to hear what I'm saying, but I think for me, the recognition is there, and they're just really, really intelligent animals, and I think it's cool to see just slowly people are expanding the size of cages they keep them in, which is great.
I think me and Nathan have admitted this, but we're both babies. We don't like to get bit.
No,
so I'll come back in the garage and my wife will be like, you had a difficult one today, huh? And she can tell just because she can hear me when I'm in the garage. Like the time where I talk the most to my snakes is when I'm sweet talking them when they're being a jerk. I'm like, come on.
I'll be real with you. I'd rather go redo more of my black work than go get bit in my snake room right now.
Which is completely irrational in my opinion.
Oh, it's totally irrational. It's totally, it sucks way right? Worse like, to go get tattooed and heal all that crap. But
that looks miserable.
Lucas, do you have any tattoos?
Yeah. So I have one on my forearm. It's a matching tattoo with my wife. She has a single needle that's on her wrist. It's the same one. And then I have the left and right hemisphere brain. So has like the artistic side with, I could go in forever. But anyways, yes, I have 2 tattoos.
So I've got a couple smaller ones than that too. But I always kind of thought that was at worst. The worst snake bite was kind of similar to a tattoo, pain wise. It's a little different because you kind of sit down and expect it, right? You sit down, you talk to the guy or girl, and you pay them a lot of money, and they stab you with the design of your choice. But with a retic, it's like Adler just said, it's the shock factor. It's betrayal, and it's instinct. It's human instinct.
Betrayal.
It's betrayal.
How dare you?
I've seen really some bad slash bites from some male retics. I'd argue that those suck way worse than getting tattooed, but those are,
the ones that do neurological damage and you can't close your hand anymore. Yeah, those are worse than tattoos.
Yeah, probably a little bit.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. That is a truth that retics and very few species have that a lot of other snakes don't do.
I've been keeping 5 years now.
They have the triangular shaped teeth and they just shred you if they want to.
Yeah. I've been keeping 5 years now and I've only shed blood twice. And in both of those times I shed blood were within the last 6 months. So it took me a while to get my first, and that was my first snake bite ever. And I've kept snakes growing up my whole life. I had a wild caught Argentine boa, more than likely a wild caught berm. And as a kid, I was tap training before I even knew what tap training was. I'd get my coat hanger and I would just pick up the snake with my coat hanger out of the glass terrarium or glass aquarium with, a heat rock in there.
Yeah, I didn't have a heat rock, but I have used a stapler before to tap train my snakes, just because whatever, that's what was next to the cage, and boop boop. I didn't know. If I could go back 10 years though and change husbandry, it would be a different. My poor animals. We've learned so much though, and that's why I'm so glad that we have YouTube, and I'm on Facebook a lot, but I know some people choose Reddit, Instagram, or whatever. I'm so glad we have these communities and the Discord communities where we could actually learn from one another.
Yeah. Just wait. Yeah. There's gonna be a better app out there for that.
Oh yeah, are you designing it?
Not really, but when we're at liberty to talk, we'll talk more about it.
All right. Well, let me ask you this, Lucas, and moving away from the online community space, if you had to replace, hypothetical question, all of your retics for just one breeding pair of animals, what do you think you would keep?
Like just one breeding pair of animals?
Yeah, like say you could put them in, it's because you're going to put them in a giant zoo enclosure and you're going to devote your life to just one pair of one species. Man. You could say retic if you want. I think that's
no. It wouldn't. I love retics. Like I'd love them, but it wouldn't be retics. That would be so boring of me. To be honest, if I could choose, the thing is, I'm gonna say an animal that I haven't kept, and so like I'm scared to say it out loud because like I might regret it if I get them.
Oh, I'm not.
What?
So I'm not scared. Same thing here. I'm not scared.
So yeah, so
Get on with it.
Todd Danielson said Bolin's in there. That was like the first that was like the first thing that popped in my mind. But to be honest, I wouldn't even go snake. I'd go like more intelligent. I probably would get croc monitors.
Oh, cool.
If I could keep a pair of croc monitors in the coolest, biggest way of like just to be able to observe them and watch them and interact with them and actually get to have a socialized pair of croc monitors, I'd be on top of the world. That's like a legit dinosaur.
What so speaking of name dropping, what's Ari Fleigel and Ryu Lugosi's new place down? It's in Texas, right? Is it Reptilandia?
Yeah, no, Reptile. I don't know, but it's literally only 45 minutes away from me in Johnson City. And they're not done with it. Oh wait, no. Are you talking about the one in Dallas or Arlington?
I don't know. I know there's one in Texas, and I know that's a giant state, but
yeah, so there's a new one that's not quite finished yet. That's supposed to be the biggest one in the country. That is 45 minutes north of me near Johnson City. But yeah, that was my Sean, my helper here, actually went and got to get a tour of it before they opened it.
Because they from what I've seen on just social media posts, they have a really impressive croc monitor enclosure.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at it.
What about you, Nate?
Varanus macraei, so blue tree monitors.
Oh, I would have said the same answer. Yeah, they are really awesome animals.
Yep, no doubt in my mind. That's if I had to only keep one thing, watch it, breed it, have a huge enclosure for it. I mean, I already plan on doing that one day, but if I were forced to one pair of reptiles, that'd be it.
Yeah, they'd be cool, and you can make it just gorgeous. I like. I don't know if you could see it a little bit behind me. They're planted bioactive Brazilian rainbow bows, and they are a polar opposite of reticulated pythons. They are reclusive. In some ways, they're similar. They have similar like a lean body compared to boas, but they're earthworms. They're like the most expensive, best looking earthworms you could buy. And so for me, building the cage is part of it because I want to have something to look at. Might as well put some bromeliads or something in there. What Todd, even though Todd shouted out Bolin's earlier, he still says he'd choose indigo. Chad asked a question too. So similar in the same vein, do you guys plan on keeping any other species of reptiles?
I already answered that, Lucas.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I found someone local to me here close by San Antonio that I nerd out over green tree pythons. So I'm possibly soon I'll be getting a sarong. So yeah, I do want to get into the green tree python game and stick with localities because that's what I do in the retic world is localities. That's just what I nerd out about. So and then when I move and I build a larger area for the reptiles, I do want to keep smaller species of monitors. So I'll probably start with like an Aki.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I look at those too, and I just wish, I don't know, I want them all, right? every time I see them, I'm like, that's a neat reptile. I want it. Let me ask you guys a question, and we'll just lower this for the question. Lucas, what is US ARC, and why do you guys always talk about it?
So US ARC is a non-profit, so to say, that focuses on protecting our rights as exotic species keeper. Within US ARC it says reptiles, but it's expanded beyond that. They've really helped with exotic birds, and basically they are people that are going to bat for us and fighting for our rights to keep these animals. So for those of you that are under a rock keeping reptiles, we have legislations every day that are being fired against us. They don't want us to keep them, because they are all man eaters. And so
Mm-hmm.
state after state is starting to come up with these laws, and USARK uses our donations to pay people to go to to go to Washington and to fight for us, to get lawyers, and to really just make the argument that what states are trying to do is unconstitutional, not scientifically found. And they're really our only voice. So yeah, that's USARK for me.
And obviously I'm a member, but I always want to get that out there. I think they're so important to have that lobbyist group. I mean, even right now, there's bills in Washington and New Mexico, the state of Washington, banning, of all things, traveling reptile shows, which is what I used to do. For a while, I was the guy who, and they weren't my animals; they were someone else's facility. But I would take animals, reptiles, to after school programs and teach little kids. And for some of these kids, they've never seen a snake up close. And the very first class, they're super excited, scared, terrified. By the end of it, they're like asking to hold it. They want to know what a bite feels like. They want to know if we could feed it. They want to know where to get. Sometimes the parents are asking me, I'll be having a black and white tegu on my shoulder and stuff, like, where can we get one of those? Like, hold on a second, before we dive into the world of tegus. But it goes from that fear to excitement, and I saw that hundreds of times, if not thousands. And of all things, the animal rights groups want to ban that, getting people excited about other animals, and they know that it's just a matter of ticking away at those laws and just chipping them away until they could outlaw pet ownership altogether. And
yeah,
the USARK is able to defend that, because they're using a legal kind of BS system, and thankfully we have the lawyers at USARK who know that legal BS system and can fight it and can argue it in the courts. And if you're not a member, I highly suggest joining and not just donating, but also being a member. It's $40 a year. It's very cheap.
Yeah,
that's what legislators are looking at. They don't care about the donations. They care about the people that are behind USARK.
Right.
And similarly, for if anyone's listening that isn't a member of USARK, but we get alerts, you're allowed to write a senator or a congressperson without being a member of USARK, right? Like, you could take advantage of their alerts, at least sign up for the newsletter, and at least message your congressperson. Because I know for a fact that when animal bills are on the docket, they're getting letters from animal rights activists, and they're getting letters from the bill sponsor. But I don't know if reptile people are speaking up, so we have to make sure that our voices are heard. So thank you guys for always doing that. I wanted to jump in to do something here that I haven't discussed with you guys, and I haven't done on the channel before. I want to play a bit of the newlywed game with you guys, and it's different because we didn't ask any questions ahead of time. So we're gonna do this Let's Talk Herp style, and I guess I'm just gonna have you guys answer these two questions at the same time. So the first one, which one of you two is more likely to have technical difficulties? Same time, go.
Lucas.
Yep, didn't hear what you said. I appreciate it.
I'd say Nathan, but okay.
Which host is most likely to lock his keys in his car?
Me. Because
Not
I do it.
possible with me.
Not possible?
I have a keypad on the outside. I have a keypad on my door, so I'm good.
That's way too technical, Nathan. You should have just said Lucas. Lucas, what is
Lucas?
Scapegoat me.
Lucas, what is so this one you guys don't have to answer. Lucas, what is Nate's favorite morph?
I would say Cal or Hypo.
Did he get it right, Nate?
Or Anthrax.
No. What is it, Nate? Anthrax?
Anthrax? Yeah.
Third guess doesn't count. I'll count that as you got that one wrong. Nathan, same question to you. What is Lucas's favorite morph?
Ocelot. He's financially obligated.
I'll take that as a yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful. And now, so we'll move on from that terribly doomed segment and go to our lightning round questions. This is it, guys. We're coming to the end, so I really appreciate it. Just answer these as fast as you can. sort of a stream of consciousness, just the first word that comes to your mind. I'll direct it to you guys. Nathan, what's your favorite pet?
My cats.
Good.
Cat.
Lucas, wait, Lucas, because that wasn't your question.
Oh,
Lucas,
damn it.
are you afraid of spiders?
No.
Good. Nathan, what is your biggest regret from childhood?
Oh, fuck.
Subconscious, let it come out. Give us your deep, darkest trauma.
I can't think of a regret from my childhood. I had a great childhood.
What is your happiest memory from childhood?
Oh shit! Getting my go-kart on Christmas morning.
Oh, nice.
I want to go cry.
Right?
Hey,
I never
listen,
got one of those.
if I got on my 40th Christmas, I'd be happy to get a go-kart. Lucas, dogs or cats?
Cats.
Both of you are cats. Okay, interesting.
I like all animals.
I
They're
love
all
dogs,
cool.
but cats are just like little panthers living in your house.
Also, my last name's Katz, so I'm obligated by name.
Yeah, no, what I actually meant was like dogs or cats, like Nathan. I want.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah. Homies or dogs, right? So Nathan, would you rather live in a world with no parents or with no children?
Oh, that's dark.
Ooh. No parents.
Sorry, mom and dad.
But I don't know how that works out though. That's like a chicken and the egg thing. Like,
which came first?
It's called genocide, Nathan, and it's a really depressing subject. But you chose it.
People know too well.
That's a good question.
Good. Moving on. Lucas, would you permanently lose all of your hair in exchange for discovering a new morph?
Nah. I mean, I love snakes. They're not that important to me, though.
Is your hair that important to you?
I feel like me bald is not a pretty sight. I don't have a good bald person. Like Nathan, great bald head. Me, not so much.
I'm slowly working on it, so I'll let you guys know in a few years if it's good or bad.
Also, is that like hair all over? Is that body hair? Because if it is, then definitely yes.
I feel like I'm not ashamed of it. I feel like now that you guys are talking about it, I have to show off.
You have nothing to be ashamed of. It's
oh no, I love my head.
Yeah. How often do you have to shave it?
I do it every couple days. I work at a barber school, so
Yeah.
I try to keep it clean.
You have good access to it. For Movember, you had a mustache that I called to myself the Nate stash or the cat stash. Was that as uncomfortable to wear as it was to look at?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was of course I'm gonna forget his name right now, but I was inspired by an actor who sports a walrus, and I had never grown out a walrus. I've done a lot of stuff with. Yeah, well, no, that was a month before. I did a Reno 911 thing for Halloween, but I just kept it going from there and just grew it as long and over my lip as I could. And then, I think there was like a date or something that came up, and I'm like, yeah, it's time to get rid of this.
Yeah, we can't keep doing this. Lucas, beer or liquor?
Liquor. I'm a Scotch person.
All right. Nathan, what is your mother's maiden name? No, I'm sorry, you can't answer that. What about the name of your high school mascot?
I don't know the name, but it was a Bengal tiger.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to get your credit card security answers here. Lucas.
Oh yeah. I didn't go to high school, so that didn't help.
Lucas, what street did Nathan grow up on?
Lonely Way.
Perfect. And that's it, guys. That's all I have.
Sad boy circle.
In my lightning round questions. It was a pleasure getting to speak with you guys. And I've got
you're really kicking us out. You're turning your lights off and everything.
Yeah, 7 o'clock rolls around, and we grow microgreens, so our own little salads and veggies.
Oh, that's what the kids are calling it these days.
Yep. That's what I have to say on YouTube. Right. So the grow lights just went out, but guys, it was a pleasure having you on the channel. Folks, if you guys have any questions, type them in the next 5-10 seconds while I'm signing them off. But if you guys had anything you wanted to sound off on before you go, let me know. Otherwise, like and subscribe to all channels involved, the Retic Lounge, Let's Talk Herps. Thank you guys very much for coming on.
Appreciate you for having us on. For those of you that are following both of us, Nathan's got an awesome clutch on the way of phantoms that is going to be laying some eggs soon. So keep an eye out for that high percentage super dwarf phantoms and possibly purple phantoms that I've been waiting for. So,
well, that's great. Let's talk about the business before you go too. What are you expecting? What do you guys have this year coming out that you're excited about?
So I'm just working on purple phantom stuff. Hopefully some snow phantom if I really hit the odds gods. But just trying to produce some cool animals. I cut hair, like I said, so I'm working at a shop down the street. If you're in Utah anytime, come sit in my chair. You can't tip me, but you can donate to US Arc instead. So yeah, I'd love to have you.
They don't let you tip because you're at the school?
No. This is a barber shop. I charge luxury pricing, so $75 an hour, and then if you want to tip on top of that, that's up to you. But that's all going to US Arc, not me. Gotcha.
Right on. I love that, man. Well, you guys have been terrific as I anticipated. So I'm really grateful for you both coming on and taking the time and rushing home from work to make it. Hi, Nathan Katz's cat, who I've also seen a lot on the podcast too. So that's pretty cool. My cats, they ignore me until someone else is around, then they act like they're my friend. But I don't know what their deal is. I can't figure them out. I'm a dog person, but I sure do love them. You guys, thanks again. Have a great night.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. Later.
Good night, everyone.
Night.